and book finesse. Mix 'em up, that's your best. This is the best show. Guiding your souls to grow. Helping you find your flow.
Hey y'all, what's going on? And welcome to the Best Bet Show. I am your host, Best Bet Dan. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back to the show. It's really, really good to have you. I'm excited to be here. I've got a really awesome show for you today. But before we get into it, a couple of things. Number one, like, follow, subscribe on all platforms. I am at Best Bet Dan. I am super easy to find. Make sure you share the show. Sharing is caring. That's my love language. So if you like what you hear on this show, hit that share button. Put in your group. Matter of fact, I'm telling everyone right now, if you're listening right now, hit the copy button, whether it's on the podcast platform or it's on YouTube. Copy the link and throw it in your group chat. Throw it in your group chat and tell everybody to tap in. All right. Reviews are amazing. Reviews are good. Matter of fact, on YouTube, if you see this on YouTube, drop a comment. It helps with the algorithm. It'll show a lot more people a lot faster. Let's see. Oh, get more from the game. Go get the book. I did a whole show on it. Go cop that book. It is on Amazon right now. Get more from the game. Easy to find, or you can get it from my website, bestbetlife.com. And then what do we got coming up? So coming up, this week, on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? No, I take that back. I don't think it's Wednesday. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna check on this. 1 second. Let's see. January 8th. So it's in about 2 weeks and some change. January 8th is gonna be in about a week and 3 days. I'm going to be on the news again. I'm going to be on a show called, I think it is Rochester in Focus with Lynette Adams. So she reached out to me and we scheduled that time. So be on the lookout for that coming out as well. But let's get into it. So I hope everyone is having an amazing holiday season. I had a wonderful Christmas. We did Christmas in Niagara Falls with my family. It was really, really fun, except for we had a weird dude knock on our door at like 3:00 in the morning, Christmas morning. And, me and my dad, we jumped into action. Fortunately, he seemed like he might have just been on drugs or something, and he kind of wandered around. But when you book Airbnbs, they don't really tell you like where it is until you actually book. And so the neighborhood might have possibly been a little sketchy. But either way, we're well. Everything went smooth. The guy, he walked away, and we did call the police. They kind of searched the perimeter, and everything was all good. But today, I want to talk to you guys about leadership. And leadership is something that it's a huge buzzword. It's talked about a lot. It is coached a lot. It's taught a lot. And I want to give you some thoughts on it, especially as young people, because leading is a super, super not only powerful skill, but is a very, very lucrative skill. If you're able to lead well and lead effectively, there is no limit on what you can create in terms of not just your earning potential, but even building a lifestyle that you really enjoy. As a matter of fact, I would contend that people who are really, really good leaders, especially when it comes to business and entrepreneurship, they will tend to have better lifestyles because they will get more out of the people that they're leading. And I'll go into why that is in a little bit. But let's go into it. So leadership is a force multiplier. When you have a good leader, when you have good leadership, what happens is good leaders, they bring troops together to work on a common cause or a common goal. And when everybody is working together, when everyone is in unison and bought into what the mission is, like that multiplies the force of an individual, right? Because if one person can get X done, two people, it's not X plus X. No, if you have one person and you add another person, it becomes X times X, right? So when you have people working together, it is a multiplier in and of itself. But when you have someone who is able to bring a company or a group of people together on one cause and lead them, and again, we see it all over the place. We see it in look at the building you're sitting in right now. The building you're sitting in right now is literally an example of leadership because, yeah, for one person to build that build, like literally one person, like, yo, it's going to be so difficult for them to build that alone. However, when you have one person leading, right, or you have a leadership team, and then you're bringing, right, the efforts of many together, now that's going to put the project in the best position to get done with the most and the maximum amount of efficiency. So, first and foremost, leadership, everybody sees and everybody notices leadership, whether it's good or bad, whether they're trained or untrained, it doesn't matter. As people, we literally have like this thing in us where we will either gravitate towards good leadership, we will give more towards good leadership, we will work harder for good leadership, we will put others and we will put a task or a goal first before ourselves when there's good leadership. And these things, they kind of happen intrinsically. Like nobody has to say, oh, hey, we got a good leader. So, everybody, we're going to do our best and we're going to, no, it's just like when leadership is on point and leadership is functioning well, people recognize it, they realize it, and they respond accordingly. And again, no one has to necessarily say, oh, this is a good leader. No one says that. Like in your life, you've probably had some good leaders and you've never said to yourself, oh man, this is a really good leader, I'm going to work extra harder. No, it just happens. Some things, it's a phrase I love to say, what's understood does not have to be explained. And I think that's really kind of what good leadership is. And oftentimes why it can go under the radar, because when you don't have to stress about the leader, when you're not worried about the leader being a bad leader, things just get done. And when things just get done, there's no fanfare to it, right? There's no drama. There is no, well, we got to talk about this and gossip about this. Nah, we're just getting to it. Okay. Now on the flip side, you can know nothing about leadership. You never read a leadership book. You don't know who John Maxwell is. And for those of you who don't know, read John Maxwell books. He's got like fire books, and his niche, or one of the things he talks about, is leadership, right? And so he is one of the worldwide authorities on being a good leader and all things leadership. But it doesn't take reading one of his books in many cases to be able to recognize and spot a bad leader. Okay, so it's interesting, like bad leadership, and here's how you know, and here's how you can know. Number one, you'll probably gossip a lot. When there's bad leadership, it incites a ton of gossip. Now, also, sometimes if there's good leadership, it can do that too, because when you have good leadership, you may not be able to get away and do everything you want to do. And so that might make you feel some sort of way. But typically when there's bad leadership, it gets worse. It gets way worse because everyone sees a glaring problem. Everyone sees that wow, this guy can't, or this person, they can't get anyone to do anything. This lady, she can't, get the troops, or she can't control people. She can't get people to show up on time. He can't get people to do their jobs. Bad leadership is noticed whether or not you've been trained on leadership. It does not matter. Okay. Bad leadership triggers rebellion. I already talked about gossip and dissatisfaction. So leadership always matters. It always counts. And there is no in between. Either you're a good leader or a bad leader. And I think just even understanding some of those thoughts, on the go forward, will help you to understand, hey, no matter if people are trained on it, they're going to put you in a category, if you're a leader, of being a good leader or bad leader. Now, in our country, we typically and we primarily see, and I would even say in our country, I just think in society in general, just because of the way things are set up, we see, so there's I like to split leadership into two, positional leadership and authentic leadership. The problem with positional leadership is most of those leaders are not leaders because they're a leader. They're a leader because someone gave them a position and said, hey, lead this. Hey, do this, right? So they've been given a position, right? And they lead only from that position and only with the power of that title or the authority of that title or position. And again, that's one of those things that people can spot a mile away. Okay, so I'm working for you. Let's say you're a young person and you got an entry level job, right? It could be in fast food, it could be in retail, doesn't matter, right? But somebody got this leadership job, assistant manager, whatever the title may be, because they've just been there for so long. So now, boom, they've been there long enough, or the way things fell, they are now in leadership, right? Well, if they don't have any qualities, if they don't have the qualities that really make them a leader and make people want to follow them, then they're just a positional leader. And now what happens is positional leaders oftentimes don't lead by example. Positional leaders oftentimes, they're not good with people. Positional leaders oftentimes are not good servants, right? They're pretty much functioning from their title and for their title. And that's why they have a hard time really moving people forward. Okay. So you want to stay away from positional leadership. And even if you have a position, right? So that's not to say like, don't get a position. No, get a position, but don't let your position be the only power in your leadership. Did you catch that? All right, cool. Authentic leadership. Authentic leadership is earned. Authentic leadership, it's never assigned. When someone is authentically a leader, oftentimes people will follow them with or without a title, right? The title often, it's just a plus. It's just more so of the cherry on top says, oh, nah, this person is the boss. But even if they didn't have the title, they live and do life in such a way that, number one, they're a servant, right? And I'm going to get into a little bit later on why leader and servant literally like can be interchangeable, but they're a servant, right? They're there to make sure that other people are able to function and do well. Okay. They also have good and strong character, right? Like they're people who they don't fold under pressure. They're people who they are the same today in this situation as they are tomorrow in that situation, right? They're not like this two-faced type person where you see them one side of them over here and then another side over here. And even if they are a person who is able to kind of float between maybe situations and maybe deal with different scenarios at different levels, they don't do it. What's the word I want? They don't do it in exchange for their character or for their values, right? A good leader is somebody who knows their character, knows their values, and they stand on that. And that authenticity in who they are, that authenticity of self allows them, right? And puts them in a position where people will follow them, where people will run through a wall for them. And so yeah, true leadership is earned. It is not assigned. I want you to think about that because, again, right, the whole reason we're having this conversation, right, is leadership is a high impact social skill, right? By definition, leadership is social because you have to work with other people. You have to communicate messages to people, right? And if you understand leadership at a higher level, at a younger age, you're able to employ these characteristics. You're able, even on just based on what I've said so far, you can take this and you can now implement it in your life right now, where now you are already getting a head start on leadership. So by the time it's time to have a leadership position, you can go literally straight to the top because you're coming in with a know-how. You're coming in with an understanding of what good leadership is versus what it is not. All right. So this actually right here, this next thing is one of the things I love most about leadership. So the foundation for any leadership and the thing that will honestly make you a leader without even asking to be a leader is self-leadership. It is at the core of all great leadership, right? And it may not, and it's funny because you see some great leaders that have some, really kind of messed up internal struggles. No one's perfect. We all live in glass houses, right? We all have things we're working on. We all have things that are wrong. We all have things that we're battling. And we don't go out and necessarily advertise that to everybody, right? You're going to see my highlight reel. Unless you know me, like as you get closer to me, you know me, well and know me better than the next person. I might let you in on some of my stuff that, I'm dealing with, struggling with, whatever. But the point is that leaders, more often than not, they start with good self-leadership. And even before you're a leader, if you're a good self-leader, it's going to put you in a good position. So I already said it. Leading yourself is the gateway to leading others effectively. Good self-leadership naturally attracts followers. That right there, That is such a bar because, and that's what I was talking about, where when you lead yourself well, you don't have to ask for followers. People will see that and say, I want that. I want that. How can I get that? And boom. And I love using the gym for an example because the gym really is a place where I see this happening all the time, right? So you got a person that's dedicated to working out. They're not a trainer. They're not a coach. They don't have any credentials in terms of saying, hey, I'm an authority on telling you what to do in this gym, right? However, what they do have is a great physique. They do have a great work ethic, and they do have a routine, right? So people notice those things. They don't care about the certifications. They don't care about all of the other things. They say, oh, wow, what you're doing is working. Oh, wow, I saw you when you started coming to this gym. You were 50 pounds heavier. Now, over the course of, 8 months to a year, I see the results of what you've been doing. Tell me something. They're asking you to serve. They're asking you to lead them, right? So you taking that self-leadership onto yourself and making sure like, hey, I want to be healthy. I want to be fit, whatever it goes. Like for me, like aesthetic isn't really what I go to the gym for. I go to the gym for performance, right? I'm 37. I still love to play basketball. I still have a whole basketball TikTok is I do it just for fun. It's 30 plus hoops. Go find it. It's good content over there. But no. So my thing is I want to be able to play well on the court. So my leadership style, my self-leadership is like, hey, I want to perform well on the court. So you going to see my results when I play the game, right? So again, going back to the original thought, when you put in work and you get results and you are committed to a goal, plan, committed to an action, people take notice. And when people take notice, it attracts them to want to follow because people are looking for good people to follow. And here's the thing, right? I've got my people that I follow, right? And every good person or every person that has any sort of leadership tendencies or leadership attributes, they're following somebody else in some way, shape, or form, right? And it could be from up close. It could be from a distance through social media. Does not matter, right? But I'm going to tell you, everything starts with leading yourself well. And when you lead yourself well, leading yourself well is being on time. Leading yourself well is, your grooming, your hygiene, all of those things, everything that makes up like you and who you are, that's all self-leadership because it's like, hey, I put a certain value on how I do things, on how I'm perceived, on how I show up and how I appear. And because I put that value on those things, that's what's putting me in position for other people to take notice, or they're finding something they can take notice of and they're saying, tell me something, serve me some thoughts on why you do this, how you did this, serve me some thoughts on where I can do this or how I can get in this position. Lead me. When people ask you questions about something you've done, they're saying, serve me. They're saying, lead me. All right. So, practical tips for your own self-leadership. Set personal goals. Hold yourself accountable. Boom. One of the things that people love about leaders is they love movement. And even as people, like we love movement, right? So when I'm outside, so one of the things I like to do is I like to hike. I love to hike. Like me and my wife over the last, 2-3 years, it's something we've picked up. We've been intentional to kind of get out and do hikes every year and in the summer. But when hiking and when I'm outside in wilderness, a still pond is not somewhere that I really want to be. And the reason why I don't want to be by a still pond is because a still pond there's a lot of mosquitoes there. Number one, I hate mosquitoes. It attracts the other stuff, algae, right? In still ponds, you're going to see a lot of algae, right? That's kind of rising to the top. And it's just not a place where it's really conducive for, I don't want to say, because there's life in still ponds, but it's more like the bottom feeder type life, if that makes sense, right? But when I'm out and I see a running stream, it's like a magnet to me. Like I literally, I want to be by it. I want to be close to it. So when you set personal goals for yourself, that's movement. When you hold yourself accountable, that's movement, right? You're moving in a direction, and that is going to attract people whether or not you like it, right? So I'll give you one of my own stories in my journey, right? So at 35, 35 or 36. No, I think it was 35. At 35, I get diagnosed with ADHD. Now, in hindsight, right? Like once I figured out, oh snap, I saw it all through my life. And I saw, and I'm telling you, this hurt. This hurt. At some stages, it was depressing because I began to see how having it and not knowing it sabotaged me in a lot of areas, right? Now, again, I didn't know. So if I don't know, like, all right, I got to give myself some grace because I didn't know. But now that I know, it is up to me, right, to set some goals. It is up to me to hold myself accountable, right, to do the things, to put things in place that are going to help me to function better, right? So one of the things that I did personally, right, so I never knew the term executive function before I discovered this whole thing with ADHD, right? But once I discovered it and I identified what it is, I'm like, that's actually a big area of improvement for me. Like I'm not really the best at like just administrative tasks and kind of getting the little things done and doing the things I don't want to do. I kind of like the details, the minutia, the mundane. Like I don't care about that. Like, right. Sitting in front of this podcast doing this, I love this. I love to talk. I love to share thoughts. But when it comes to like the next part, which is taking this content and uploading it, making sure I clip it the right way, uploading it to YouTube, creating a description, all of those things, I hate that stuff. Not only do I take it back, I don't hate it. I'm not the best at getting it done because it's not fun. My brain doesn't give out the normal dopamine that it gives people to just do a simple task. I don't get that, right? So one of the things that I did to create accountability is I downloaded an app, or I found, matter of fact, I was searching. First, I was looking. That was the first thing is I looked. I said, hey, what are other professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners with ADHD, what are they doing in order to like make life happen? What are they doing to like get to their spots and get to their sweet spots and they're not like always messing stuff up? So I found an app called Groove. So this app Groove is really awesome. I'm going to put a link to it in the bio on both the podcast platform as well as on the YouTube because I can give you a free 30 days if you want to try it out for yourself. But this app is really, matter of fact, I'm in a groove right now because I got to my studio and I wanted to make sure I got started right away. So I needed to outline my show and kind of get my thoughts together, and I needed to start recording the show. So I'm coming to the end of this groove. I'll probably do another groove and kind of handle the uploading and getting all the things kind of done and getting this scheduled to post tomorrow morning. But this app is really awesome because I want to go into the details of how it works. So pretty much when you start a groove, you're in a groove with other people. So it's up to 4 people, as little as 2. And before you start this 50-minute work session, what you do is you tell these people, hey, and you're on a FaceTime chat. You tell these people, hey, this is what I'm working on in this session. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and boom, I'm locked in, and I'm going to, accomplish this in my 50 minutes. So you go off video, and you make your little list, and now you work through your list. So as you work through your list, you're able to check stuff off. You can chat with people during a groove, and you guys can talk about what you're doing. You can celebrate. Maybe you're having a bad groove. Maybe it's like, yo, like I got stuck doom scrolling on TikTok, right? They can help you. You can just put in the chat, hey, I got to get off, and boom, recalibrate, refocus. Then once that 50 minutes is over, it's like when this one, I thought I was going to be able to get this whole podcast recorded within a 50-minute groove, but I didn't because I did some cleaning first and I had to do some stuff in the studio. I got a new tripod, so I needed to set that up. So I have 6 minutes left on this groove. As a matter of fact, I was going to skip the recap because that's what I'm getting to now. So once you finish the 50 minutes, you have a recap with the people that you started with. And so on the recap, you talk about what you accomplished. Did you get it done? Did you not get it done? Are you going to go into another groove so you can finish what you didn't get done? Or did you get everything done? You want to grow into another groove because you're in a groove and you want to keep being productive. So I wasn't going to recap because it ends in 6 minutes and 5 minutes now. And I knew that I wouldn't be done recording the show. But I'm going to I'm going to let y'all see a live recap on the app. And actually, I'm in a groove with a lady named Catherine. So that's really cool. And so yes, so this is something that I'm using, right? So I had to go find something to help me. And I'm telling you, since I've been using this app, my productivity level on doing the little things has been so much better. I've been so much more efficient because I have accountability of strangers around the world that are helping me to get things done. And I know it may sound crazy. Well, strangers, why would you be accountable to strangers? Well, because with a stranger, it's like, yo, you want to put that best foot forward because the only thing they know of you is what they see on Groove. And if you never get your stuff done, if you don't take it seriously, and let's say you never come back. So like, even like right now, like going back to the recap, like if you never go back to the recap, then like, yo, they might stop grooving with you because like, this guy he's not serious about this work he's putting in. And so yeah, hold yourself accountable. This is one of the biggest things that I've done for me for accountability, and it has paid dividends, right? So again, I'm going to share that link for you guys. I'll give you 30 days for free. Definitely go and check that out. And then leading by example, right? Doing the thing. And so often in different spaces I've been in where I've heard leaders talk, they talk about, man, if I'm the CEO, like I'm willing to clean the bathroom. If I'm the CEO, I'm willing to, get on my hands and knees and scrub the floor. I'm willing to change the carpets out. Like I'm willing to do all of those things because I want to show you that even though I'm running the company, like I'm the head honcho, like I am that guy, that I'm still willing to do the little things. And when you have, I know for me personally, when I see leaders that are willing to do the little things, that does something for me where it's like, I want to run through a brick wall for this person, because if they're willing to do the tiniest job, if they're willing to respect the lowest quote unquote person in the company, then that's somebody I want to be around, because they'll treat the person that's emptying the garbage with respect and with dignity. Then like, yo, I know they'll treat me with respect and dignity. I may not be emptying the trash. I might be emptying the trash. Who knows? Okay. But lead by example, hold yourself accountable, and set personal goals. All right. So leadership as service. Leadership is service. Leadership equals service. Being a leader, point blank period, it means you serve other people. That's it. That is it. And I want you right now, because I'm going to validate everything that I'm saying by very simply saying this. In your life, when you've been in a position where you're like, man, that person's a really good leader, literally that came because of how they served you. When you have an issue at school, at your job, or at work, what do? You go to the leader and you ask them, hey, what can you do about this? How can you help me? How can you serve me? Leadership is service. Service is leadership. If you don't like to serve people, if you're not willing to serve people well, then you should really question whether or not being in positions of leadership is the space for you, because that's what it is. Leadership is selfless. It is putting you lower and putting others before you, putting others above you. Okay. Leaders are problem solvers. They're guides. They're facilitators. They're not just bosses. Like the greatest leaders, they really understand people. Right. And it is wild because understanding people doesn't just mean that they're pushovers. Understanding people means they understand people. And that means that they understand the ugliness of people, because people can be ugly. Shoot, I can be ugly at times. There's times when I need to be checked. There's times when I have been checked by leaders in my life because I needed an adjustment, whether it was my attitude, whether it was my production. It doesn't matter. Like, leaders need to know people. They need to understand people. They can't be people who just knee-jerk react. They got to be people who are willing to look well into situations. Well, why is Mackenzie always late? What's going on? Instead of me just dealing with the symptom, what if I got to the root? So what if I pull her aside and say, hey, Mackenzie, obviously you've been being late, but I think being late is just a symptom. What is happening that's causing you to be late? Well, you know what? I've been having issues with my car, and I've been getting rides to work. And unfortunately, my rides are not always reliable people, but I'm doing the best that I can. Now, does that excuse Mackenzie from being late all the time? No, it doesn't. But as a leader, right? As a leader, it gives you more information to be able to judge rightly, to be able to, what's the word I want? Judge is a good word, but I want a better word. it gives you the ability to decipher between, hey, how do I handle this? Do I need to suspend this person? Like, are they taking advantage of me? Or do I need to see if the company has a solution? Like, can we do something where maybe, we see if, there's another employee that we can set up a carpool with? Like, what can we do? Or maybe shoot. And it's so awesome because I've seen some companies like this, and I know some really good companies where they might just say, hey, how can we get your car fixed? What can we do to help you? Because again, and it's funny, the companies that do things like this, they're the companies that do well because their people will literally, like, they will go to war for them because they are servants. They're serving their people first. I ran into one guy who worked at a company where they're having a Christmas party. And when they did this Christmas party, the company paid for Ubers for every person in the company to the party and to home because they knew they're gonna have alcohol at the party. And they said, we're not taking the risk. So listen, we want to show you guys that we appreciate you. We want you guys to really have a good time and not have to make a hard decision. So we're gonna make a decision for you. We're Ubering everybody. Like, that's leadership right there. That's showing that, hey, I'm aware. Like, I'm not in the clouds when it comes to real life, and I see my people. Like, and honestly, like, I think I'm cooking right now. When you are seen and when people feel like they can see you, that literally is when everything changes. Okay, so I am regrouping right now for my groove, and I'm doing this live because, again, we're talking about leadership. They can't see you on camera, though, Catherine. Just a heads up. They can hear you, though. Are you okay if they hear you? Okay, cool. So I'm going to let you go ahead and start. How did your groove go?
It went pretty well. I stayed on task the whole time. I'm not quite done with what I wanted to get done, but I did okay.
Awesome. So I am still in my podcast recording, and I wasn't going to come to the regroup, but then I said to myself, no, like, I'm literally talking about leadership and accountability. So, like, what better thing to do than just to do my regroup, like, literally live on the podcast? So, and what's awesome is I kind of talked about Groove a bit. So with Groove, what's really cool is you can groove with people from all over the world. So what part of the world are you in?
I'm in Seattle.
Seattle. So I'm in Rochester, New York, but we are helping to keep one another accountable. So, Catherine, I am going to go into another groove because I want to finish this. And then I also want to go ahead and do the things where, like, I edit it and I schedule it to be launched tomorrow morning. So are you good to roll into another one?
Sounds good.
All right, so I'll see you on the other side.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to roll into another groove. So we're getting ready to start that now. This is kind of cool that I'm doing this live on the podcast. Shout out to Groove. I got to send this to, like, Taylor and to the people that in the Groove. I think they'll really enjoy this. But all right, so what are you going to work on in this 50 minutes?
I am just continuing to work.
I think she froze on me. Technology. Okay, so you said continuing to work through the thing you're already working on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And for me, I'm going to finish recording this show, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the editing, and I'm going to do the description and schedule it to post.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, so let's do it. I'll see you in 50.
Yep. See you in 50.
All right. So, yeah, so just like that, we're going to try and get the 50 started. I think, oh, you know what? You never passed the mic to me. I'm trying to start the groove. She got to pass the mic to me. Something's going on with my connection. But either way, I want you guys to see that in real time, just being accountable, that, like, this is what leadership is. And for me, doing this podcast is very important because I feel like I have things to say. And, what is going on with Groove? Why is it not letting me? Why isn't it letting us start? There we go. Boom. This is my goal podcast. All right, boom. So we're grooving. Yeah. I want this podcast. So my goal in this podcast, so I do have a goal. My goal for this podcast is I'm going to do one season that's 20 episodes, and I want to do an episode every week. There might be some weeks where I do more content, do other things with the YouTube channel, but for the podcast, I want to do one every week for 20 weeks straight. And then I'm going to take a break probably for like maybe a month, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to do another season, which is another 20 shows. And again, boom, you listening to this podcast is allowing me to lead, but I can't lead if I don't show up. I can't lead if I'm not consistent. So I've got to make sure I'm doing things. And that groove, what you just saw, was me doing the things to make sure that I am in position to offer information and to serve you with this podcast. All right. So let's see. So we're talking about how leaders are problem solvers, guides, facilitators, and not just bosses. So we talked about how, the McKinsey at work, she's late all the time. So boom, boss has an opportunity to now either just lead by position and say, hey, you got to be on time, or dig deeper and find out, hey, what's going on and how can I help? How can I serve? Like, how can I use my resource as a manager, as a boss, to help you to be in position to accomplish what you need to accomplish, right? Facilitators. Examples of leadership through service are helping others achieve their tasks. Are you someone who will get in the trench with other people? Are you somebody who will say, hey, it's not just about me and what I got going on, but it's how I can serve the greater task or the greater just mission of what's happening. Setting the vision and guiding the ship forward. So giving someone a vision, right? So like even now, let's say I bring in an intern to work with me. If I don't say, hey, this is what the vision is, right? 20 podcasts over 20 weeks, then I don't give them anything. If we're kind of just floating and drifting, and I'll be honest, there have been times where I was not a good leader because I didn't have a set and clear goal. I was drifting, and the way that I'm set up is I can kind of be fly by night at times. But I've learned and I'm growing. I'm still growing. I'm in progress of understanding I need to give people clear parameters. I need to give people a clear vision that they can accomplish, that they can set out and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the direction we're going. And the other thing is maintaining focus and direction while minimizing distractions. Maintaining direction and focus while minimizing distractions. So going back to the story about McKinsey and being late for work all the time, a good boss wants to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is productivity, right? So now, how can I minimize a distraction? Well, McKinsey being late every day, that's a distraction because now I've got to address why she's late. Now I've got to make sure that I do something because the coworkers around her, if they keep seeing that she's late and there's nothing happening, there's no recourse taken, they're going to think that they can be late. They're going to think that they can take advantage, or they're going to start to dissent and rebel because, hey, she's getting favoritism because she's late all the time and, no one says anything to her. So like, I need to minimize that distraction by really getting to the bottom of that situation. That's what leaders do. So, practicing leadership. It's a skill. Say it with me. Leadership is a skill. It is something you can build. It is something you can develop. It is just like muscle. Okay, so you can practice it, you can refine it, you can get strategies for it, you can study it, right? You can put yourself in positions where you have to execute what you learn. So that way, again, like instead of it being you're shooting a 3-pointer for the first time, when you get picked from that raffle at the college basketball game to shoot a shot and win a new car, right? It's like, no, I've done this before. Because I've been practicing. I've been in the gym just in case I ever had a, $1 million shot or shot to win a car that I had to take. Like, nah, I'm ready for it. I'm prepared, and I'm going to give myself the best bet. You see what I did there? I'm giving myself the best bet to actually make something shake, to make something happen. Okay? So, opportunities to practice leadership. Volunteer roles. Listen. I'm going to tell you this. Like, lean in real close to me. Listen very clearly. The truest form of a leader is a person who can lead volunteers. If you can effectively lead a volunteer army, you more than likely can lead anywhere because volunteers vote with their feet, meaning that if you are a bad leader in a volunteer setting, people will not return to volunteer because they're not getting paid for that. You see what I just did there? You see what just happened? If you want to develop and to be a good leader, go find a place to volunteer and lead there. Okay. Lead a small team in a group project. So if you get opportunities at school for projects or whatever, don't be the one who gets the A in a group project just because you coasted. Don't be Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague is an NBA player. He's got a really, really funny and popular podcast right now called 520. And he is the epitome of getting the A on the group project by not doing anything, because he won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks and he sat on the bench. And matter of fact, he talks about a lot of the season. He really didn't even want to be there. So, but yeah. Don't just be the one who gets the A in a group project because you showed up. Take something by the reins. Take a leadership position and decide to be accountable, right, for making sure the group moves forward. Okay. Show leadership in your daily life, with your family, with your friends, with yourself. Lead yourself well. If you've got an area where you know you've been slacking at, maybe it's waking up late for school. Lead yourself well. Maybe it's your assignments are always late. Maybe it's how you talk to people. Maybe you don't talk to people the best. Lead yourself well. Maybe there's some vices that you need to get a handle on, and be transparent with some other people so you can get help. Lead yourself well. Start to practice this now. And again, I aim this podcast towards high schoolers, college age people. Start this now. Don't be 35 trying to start, I'm big. No, start today. You can start this at 14 years old. Every concept and every idea I've shared, you can try and you can implement this stuff right now. And that's what makes it a cheat code, is because you got it before anybody else. Whoo! Was that a good show, y'all? This is like my longest show so far, and I thought it was going to be quick. I didn't think I was going to talk this long, but I definitely cooked for a little bit. So just want to recap main points on leadership. Power and impact of good leadership. Man, it makes things work. Good leadership makes things go. Good leadership gets things done. Good leadership, it not only gets things done, but it gets things done and people feel good about the work and who they work for and work with. Okay. The importance of self-leadership and leading you well. I can't even stress how important that is, and how crucial it is, not even just to have others take notice, but for your own life. Like for me, like this journey I've been on, just discovering ADHD, learning about it and how it's impacted my life. Like it's put me in a position where now I could take accountability in some areas, and I can self-lead and lead myself well. Okay. And then the last takeaway is leadership is service. It's not just authority. It's not just being the boss, being the highest paid, being the head honcho. It's not just that. It is being a servant. It is literally being willing to lower yourself below everyone in order to pull them up, to lift them up. That's what leadership is. All right. So I want to encourage you guys. Reflect on your own leadership journey and take steps to improve. Maybe take some of the concepts from the show today, try them out, and come back to the comment section and tell me how it went. I would love to hear about that. Yeah, that's the show though. Did we cook though? Let me know in the comments how you felt about the show. Definitely follow, subscribe, share the show if you enjoyed this. Send this to somebody who you think would enjoy this as well. Also, go get the book, Get More from the Game, available on my website, bestbetlife.com. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Best Bet Dan. This is the Best Bet Show, where we talk about the high impact social skills that give you the best bet to create the life of your dreams. And I'm out. Peace.
Street smarts and book finesse. Mix 'em up, that's your best. This is the Best Bet Show, guiding your souls to grow.